Okay, so we're doing our study group time. For those of you following along, we are on Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh, and we are on chapter 3, which is page 67 in the large, in the book and the material in the study group. Just feel free to post your question or to post your comment about the material in this as well, because I love that conversation there. And also, I'm going to go back and see what some of y'all may have asked about the material or about the topic, and then I'll go back and I'll try to answer some of them before I get back, before I'm done with the night. Okay. All right. So, Neil. Well, I have 100 questions, 1,000, a million, and the problem is I sometimes don't know where to begin. God, just list the questions. Just start somewhere. Go ahead, right now. Make a list of the questions that occur to you. Neil, okay, some of them are going to seem pretty simple, pretty plebeian. God, stop making judgments against yourself. Just list them. Neil, right. Well, okay, here are the ones that occur to me now. Number 1, when will my life finally take off? What does it take to get it together and achieve even a modicum of success? Can the struggle ever end? Number 2, when will I learn enough about relationships to be able to have them go smoothly? Is there any way to be happy in relationships? Must they always be constantly challenging? 3, why can't I ever seem to attract enough money in my life? Am I destined to be scrimping and scraping for the rest of my life? What is blocking me from realizing my full potential in this regard? 4, why can't I do what I really want to do with my life and still make a living? 5, how can I solve some of the health problems I face? I have been the victim of enough chronic problems to last a lifetime. Why am I having them all now? Number 6, what is the karmic lesson I'm supposed to be learning here? What am I trying to master? Number 7, is there such a thing as reincarnation? How many past lives have I had? What was I in them? Is karmic debt a reality? Number 8, I sometimes feel very psychic. Is there such a thing as being psychic? Am I that? Are people who claim to be psychic trafficking with the devil? Number 9, is it okay to take money for doing good? If I choose to do healing work in the world, God's work, can I do that and become financially abundant too? Or are the two mutually exclusive? Number 10, is sex okay? Come on, what is the real story behind this human experience? Is sex purely for procreation, as some religions say? Is true holiness and enlightenment achieved through denial or transmutation of the sexual energy? Is it okay to have sex without love? Is just the physical sensation of it okay enough as a reason? Number 11. Why did you make sex so good? He's obviously obsessed with sex. Why did you make sex so good, so spectacular, so powerful, a human experience if all we were to do is to stay away from it as much as we can? What gives? For that matter, why are all fun things either immoral, illegal, or fattening? Number 12. Is there life on other planets? Have we been visited by it? Are we being observed now? Will we see evidence, irrevocable and indisputable, of extraterrestrial life in our lifetime? Does each form of life have its own God? Does each form of life have its own God? Are you the God of it all? Number 13. Will utopia ever come to the planet Earth? Will God ever show himself to Earth's people as promised? Is there such a thing as the second coming? Will there ever be an end of the world, or an apocalypse, or prophesied in the Bible? Is there a one true religion? If so, which one? I'm going to comment on this before I go further about the alien thing. So people were asking me about my dream because I did put it out there that I had a dream about UFOs and extraterrestrials. I've actually had several, but I had one not that long ago. And this actually happened right after they made a comment, or that they had shared publicly that there was like a 188 waiting day period, or a period of time where they were going to be releasing more about extraterrestrials or aliens, etc. And so around that time, I had a dream. And in this dream, I was in a classroom. And there was a teacher at the front of the classroom. And I was the only one in the classroom. I literally was the only person. Everybody else, there was nobody in the class with me. It's just me and then the teacher, the person at the front of the room. And the teacher was telling me that there would in fact be more revealed about extraterrestrials and about their visitations to Earth and about the technology. There would be more revealed about it, but that, first of all, that we didn't have anything to be worried about from them, or that there was nothing to fear from them, but it would be made out, or it would be insinuated that they're dangerous, but we have nothing to fear from them. So that was one thing that I was told. I was also told in the dream that we would know more about what happened in Roswell, and more details would come out about that. And third, that whatever was released was going to be used in a way where it may actually kind of like manipulate the way that we may think of them, or the way we may think of, planetary visitors from other worlds. So to be aware of that, but that we had nothing to fear from them. That's what I was told. So I was told we had nothing to fear from them, but that we would be told more information about that, and we would know more details about Roswell. And that's all. And then I woke up. That was literally the whole dream. So that's all that I remember. But I just want to put that out there because people were asking me, and I haven't released that yet or just shared my dream with people. But that's pretty much what I was told, which I'm like, okay, well, there's nothing like crazy or, out there or fascinating about that. I mean, that's like just whatever. So just FYI, I wanted to share that here so I had the opportunity. So, okay, Neil, these are just a few of my questions. And as I said, I have 100 more. Some of these questions embarrass me. They seem so sophomoric, but answer them, please, one at a time, and let's talk about them. God. Good. Now we're getting to it. Don't apologize for these questions. These are the questions men and women have been asking for hundreds of years. If the question were so silly, they wouldn't be asked over and over again by each succeeding generation. So let's go to question 1. I have established laws in the universe that make it possible for you to create exactly what you choose. These laws cannot be violated, nor can they be ignored. You are following these laws right now, even if you read this. You cannot follow the laws. You are following these laws right now, even if you read this. You cannot not follow the law, for these are the ways things work. You cannot step aside from this. You cannot operate outside of it. Every minute of your life, you have been operating inside of it, and everything you have ever experienced, you have thusly created. You are in a partnership with God. We share an eternal covenant. My promise to you is to always give you what you ask. Your promise is to ask, to understand the process of the asking and the answering. I've already explained this process to you once. I'll do so again, so that you clearly understand it. You are a threefold being. You consist of body, mind, and spirit. You could also call this the physical, the non-physical, and the metaphysical. This is the Holy Trinity, and it has been called by many names. That which you are, I am. I am manifested as 3 in 1. Some of your theologians have called this Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Your psychiatrists have recognized this triumvirate and called it conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. Your philosophers have called it the id, the ego, and the superego. Science calls this energy, matter, and antimatter. Poets speak of mind, heart, and soul. New Age thinkers refer to body, mind, and spirit. Your time is divided into past, present, and future. Could this not be the same as subconscious, conscious, and superconscious? Space is likewise divided into 3. Here, there, and the space between. It is defining and describing this space between that becomes difficult, elusive. The moment you begin defining or describing the space you describe becomes here or there. Yet, we know this space between exists. It is what holds here and there in place, just as the eternal now holds before and after in place. These three aspects of you are actually three energies. You might call them thought, word, and action. All three put together produce a result, which in your language and understanding is called a feeling or experience. Your soul, subconscious, id, spirit, past, etc., is the sum total of every feeling you've ever had created. Your awareness of some of these is called your memory. When you have a memory, you are said to remember. That is, to put back together, to reassemble the parts. When you reassemble all of the parts of you, you will have remembered who you really are. The process of creation starts with thought, an idea, conception, visualization. Everything you see was once someone's idea. Nothing exists in your world that did not first exist as pure thought. This is true of the universe as well. Thought is the first level of creation. Next comes the word. Everything you say is a thought expressed. It is creative and sends forth creative energy into the universe. Words are more dynamic, thus some might say more creative than thought, because words are a different level of vibration from thought. They disrupt, change the universe with greater impact. Words are the second level of creation. Next comes action. Actions are words moving. Words are thoughts expressed. Thoughts are ideas formed. Ideas are energies come together. Energies are forces released. Forces are elements existent. Elements are particles of God, portions of all, the stuff of everything. The beginning is God. The end is action. Action is God creating or God experienced. Your thought about yourself is that you are not good enough, not wondrous enough, not sinless enough to be a part of God in partnership with God. You have denied for so long who you are that you have forgotten who you are. This has not occurred by coincidence. This is not happenstance. It is all part of the divine plan, for you could not claim, create, experience who you are if you already were it. It was necessary first for you to release, deny, or forget your connection to me in order to fully experience it by fully creating it, by calling it forth. For your grandest wish and my grandest desire was for you to experience yourself as the part of me you are. You are therefore in the process of experiencing yourself by creating yourself anew in every single moment, as I am now, through you. Do you see the partnership? Do you grasp its implications? It is a holy collaboration, truly a holy communion. Life will take off for you then when you choose for it to. You have not so chosen as yet. You have procrastinated, prolonged, protracted, protested. Now it is time that you promulgated and produced what you have been promised. To do this, you must believe the promise and live it. You must live the promise of God. The promise of God is that you are His son, her offspring, its likeness, His equal. All here is where you get hung up. You can accept His son, offspring, likeness, but you recoil at being called His equal. It is too much to accept, too much bigness, too much wonderment, too much responsibility. For if you are God's equal, that means nothing is being done to you, and all things are created by you. There can be no more victims and no more villains, only outcomes of your thought about a thing. I tell you this, all you see in your world is the outcome of your idea about it. Do you want your life to truly take off? Then change your idea about it, about you. Think, speak, and act as the God you are. Of course, this will separate you from many, most of your fellow man. They will call you crazy. They will say you blasphemy. They will eventually have enough of you, and they will attempt to crucify you. They will do this not because they think you are living in a world of your own illusions. Most men are gracious enough to allow you your private entertainments, but because sooner or later others will become attracted to your truth, for the promises it holds for them. Here is where your fellow men will interfere, for here is where you will begin to threaten them. For your simple truth, simply lived, will offer more beauty, more comfort, more peace, more joy, and more love of self and others than anything your earthly fellows could contrive. And that truth, adopted, would mean the end of their ways. It would mean the end of hatred and fear and bigotry and war. The end of the condemning and killing that has gone on in my name. The end of might is right. The end of purchase through power. The end of loyalty and homage through fear. The end of the world as they know it and as you have created it thus far. So be ready, kind soul, for you will be vilified and spat upon, called names and deserted, and finally they will accuse you, try you, and condemn you, all in their own ways. From the moment you accept and adopt your holy cause, the realization of self. Kneel. Why then do it? God, because you are no longer concerned with the acceptance or approval of the world. You are no longer satisfied with what that has brought you. You are no longer pleased with what it has given others. You want the pain to stop, the suffering to stop, the illusion to end. You have had enough of this world as it presently is. You seek a newer world. Seek it no longer. Now call it forth. Kneel. Can you help me to better understand how to do that? God. Yes. Go first to your highest thought. I think it's go. Go first to your highest thought about yourself. Imagine the you that you would be if you lived that thought every day. Imagine what you would think, do, and say, how you would respond to what others do and say. Do you see any difference between that projection and what you think, do, and say now? Kneel. Yes, I see a great deal of difference. God. Good. You should, since we know that right now you are not living your highest vision of yourself. Now, having seen the difference between where you are and where you want to be, begin to match your grandest vision. This will require tremendous mental and physical effort. It will entail constant moment-to-moment monitoring of your every thought, word, and deed. It will involve continued choice-making consciously. This whole process is a massive move to consciousness. What you will find out if you undertake this challenge is that you've spent half of your life unconscious. That is to say, unaware of a conscious level of what you are choosing in the way of thoughts, words, and deeds until you experience the aftermath of them. Then, when you experience these results, you deny that your thoughts, words, and deeds had anything to do with them. This is a call to stop such unconscious living. It is a challenge to which your soul has called you from the beginning of time. Kneel. That kind of continual mental monitoring seems as though it might be terribly exhausting. God. It could be, until it becomes second nature. In fact, it is your second nature. It is your first nature to be unconditionally loving. It is your second nature to choose to express your first nature, your true nature, consciously. Neil, excuse me, but wouldn't this kind of nonstop editing of everything I think, say, and do make Jack a dull boy? God, never. Different, yes. Dull, no. Was Jesus dull? I don't think so. Was the Buddha boring to be around? People flocked, begged to be in his presence. No one who has attained mastery is dull. Unusual perhaps, extraordinary perhaps, but never dull. So do you want your life to take off? Begin at once to imagine it the way you want it to be and move into that. Check every thought, word, and action that does not fall into harmony with that. Move away from those. When you have a thought that is not in alignment with your higher vision, change to a new thought, and then and there. When you say a thing that is out of alignment with your grandest idea, make a note not to say something like that again. When you do a thing that is misaligned with your best intention, decide to make that the last time and make it right with whomever was involved if you can. Neil, I've heard this before and I've always railed against it because it seems so dishonest. I mean, if you're sick as a dog, you're not supposed to admit it. If you're broke as a pauper, you're never supposed to say it. If you're upset as hell, you're not supposed to show it. It reminds me of the joke about the 3 people who were sent to hell. One was a Catholic, one was a Jew, one was a New Ager. The devil said to the Catholic sneeringly, "Well, how are you enjoying the heat?" And the Catholic sniffled, "I'm offering it up." The devil then asked the Jew, "And how are you enjoying the heat?" The Jew said, "So what else could I expect but more hell?" Finally, the devil approached the New Ager. "Heat?" the New Ager asked, perspiring. "What heat?" God: "That's a good joke, but I'm not talking about ignoring the problem or pretending it isn't there. I'm talking about noticing the circumstance and then telling your highest truth about it. If you're broke, you're broke. It's pointless to lie about it, and actually debilitating to try and manufacture a story about it so as to not admit it. Yet it's your thought about it. Broke is bad. This is horrible. I'm a bad person because good people who work hard and really try never go broke, etc. That rules how you experience brokenness. It's your words about it. I'm broke. I haven't a dime. I don't have any money. That dictates how long you stay broke. It's your actions surrounding it, feeling sorry for yourself, sitting around despondent, not trying to find a way out because what's the use anyway? That create your long-term reality. The first thing to understand about the universe is that no condition is good or bad. It just is. So stop making value judgments. The second thing to know is that all conditions are temporary. Nothing stays the same. Nothing remains static. Which way a thing changes depends on you. Neil, excuse me, but I have to interrupt you here. What about the person who is sick, but has the faith that will move mountains, and so thinks, says, and believes he's going to get better, only to die 6 weeks later? How does that square with all this positive thinking, affirmative action stuff? God, that's good. You're asking the tough questions. That's good. You're not simply taking my word for any of this. There is a place on down the line when you'll have to take my word for this, because eventually you'll find that we can discuss this thing forever, you and I, until there's nothing left to do but to try it and deny it. But we're not at that place yet. So let's keep the dialogue going. Let's keep talking. The person who has the faith to move mountains and dies 6 weeks later has moved mountains for 6 weeks. That may have been enough for him. He may have decided on the last hour of the last day, okay, I've had enough. I'm ready to go on now to another adventure. You may not have known of that decision because he may not have told you. The truth is, he may have made that decision quite a bit earlier, days, weeks earlier, and not have told you, not have told anyone. You have created a society in which it is very not okay to want to die, very not okay to be very okay with death, because you don't want to die. You can't imagine anyone wanting to die, no matter what their circumstance or condition. But there are many situations in which death is preferable to life, which I know you can imagine if you think about it for even a little bit. Yet these truths don't occur to you. They are not that self-evident. When you are looking in the face of someone else who is choosing to die, and the dying person knows this, she can feel the level of acceptance in the room regarding her decision. Have you ever noticed how many people wait until the room is empty before they die? Some even have to tell their loved ones, no, really, go, get a bite to eat, or go get some sleep, I'm fine, I'll see you in the morning. And then when the loyal guard leaves, so does the soul from the body of the guarded. If they told their assembled relatives and friends, I just want to die, they would really hear it. Oh, you don't mean that, or now don't talk that way, or hang in there, or please don't leave me. The entire medical profession is trained to keep people alive, rather than keeping people comfortable so that they can die with dignity. You see, to a doctor or a nurse, death is failure. To a friend or relative, death is a disaster. Only to the soul is death a relief, a release. The greatest gift you can give the dying is to let them die in peace, not thinking that they must hang on or continue to suffer or worry about you at this most crucial passage in their life. So this is very often what has happened in the case of the man who says he's going to live, believes he is going to live, even prays to live, that at the soul level, he has changed his mind. It is time now to drop the body to free the soul of other pursuits. When the soul makes this decision, nothing the body does can change it. Nothing the mind thinks can alter it. It is at that moment of death that we learn who in the body, mind, soul, triumvirate. I'm not to practice that word. Triumvirate is running things. All your life, you think you are your body. Some of the time, you think you are your mind. It is at the time of your death that you find out who you really are. Now, there are also times when the body and the mind are just not listening to the soul. This too creates the scenario you describe. The most difficult thing for people to do is hear their own soul. Notice that so few do. Now it happens often that the soul makes a decision that it's time to leave the body. The body and the mind, ever servants of the soul, hear this, and the process of extraction or extrication begins. Yet the mind, ego, doesn't want to accept. After all, this is the end of its existence. So it instructs the body to resist death. This the body does gladly, since it too does not want to die. The body and the mind, the ego, receive great encouragement, great praise for this from the outside world, the world of its creation. So the strategy is confirmed. Now at this point, everything depends on how badly the soul wants to leave. If there is no great urgency here, the soul may say, all right, you win, I'll stick around with you a little longer. But if the soul is very clear that staying does not serve its higher agenda, that there is no further way it can evolve through this body, the soul is going to leave, and nothing will stop it, nor should anything try to. The soul is very clear that its purpose is evolution. That is its sole purpose and its sole purpose. It is not concerned with the achievements of the body or the development of the mind. These are all meaningless to the soul. The soul is also clear that there is no great tragedy involved in leaving the body. In many ways, the tragedy is in being in the body. So you have to understand, the soul sees this whole death thing differently. It, of course, sees the whole life thing differently too. And that is the source of much of the frustration and anxiety one feels in one's life. The frustration and anxiety comes from not listening to one's soul. All right, so I'm going to stop there because it goes on for a while now, but I think we covered quite a bit there. So let me put this here because I last time stuck this and I lost my spot. All right, so let's go through some of your questions here. This is really good. I love this book. I just love this book. It's funny because it's one of those books where every single time you read it, you understand something differently or you gain a new insight. What's become a trend now for me is whenever I read some of these books, there are things that I've been told by Aja or that I've gotten from my own direct communication with Source, and it's like already pieced together in my mind, but I haven't put it into words yet or I haven't expressed it on paper, and then I'll read something and it's right there and I'm like, that's what y'all were telling me, or that's lining up with what you were saying. So yep. So here, let me go through here. I'm going to see what questions you guys have about the material in the book to see if there's anything that I can answer for you before I pop off of here. Let's see. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna make this very clear, y'all. When I am doing study time, if you come up in this joint and you start telling me what to do with the time that I choose in my life with my own work, then you're gonna get it from me. So you're gonna end up getting blasted by me. So you wanna be careful, because I already blasted somebody else in the last hour. So if I am doing something, do not ever step into my space and tell me what to do, because what I do is in alignment with God and Source, and I will fulfill what is called and summoned within me. And if you don't agree with that or you don't understand that, then you need to back the hell away and walk in the opposite direction, because you will get it from me. Let me make that perfectly clear for those of you who do not understand the boundaries of what I choose to do with my time on my page in my way. Okay, I'm going to make that very clear. So for those of you going back and forth, trying to get it, and actually, you know what, because you're just getting on my damn nerves, I'm about to block you right now. So just FYI with that. About to block you right now, just because you get on my damn nerves. So FYI with that. Yeah, I know. People come up in here and they ask me for favors and then they want something in return. Do not summon that energy within me, because you will not get the love that I have to bring. You will get the will of my rage in that, and you will not get anything from me. I bought this book after listening to you read it a few weeks ago. It's a really good book. My friend Chelsea, right before she passed away, she was reading this book. And I remember because I was in the back room back at Starbucks, and she walked to the back with the book. And it's heavy reading, and it's like very, very like philosophical. And I was like, what are you reading? And she's like, Conversations with God. I was like, whoa. I was like, you're like really going, like, you're going hardcore now. And she was like, yeah. And then she passed away like a week or two after that. But when she told me that, I was like, ooh, you've arrived, because this is one of like the top books to read whenever you're trying to develop spiritually. So whenever she achieved that, I was like, oh my God, girl, like I'm so proud of you. And interestingly enough, after her passing, I got a chance to visit with her in spirit. And I was actually in a lecture on the other side. I was like sitting in an audience, and there was a bunch of people there. Some people were still alive in body form, and they were present. Their spirit was present. And there was a lot of people who were just spirits that were in attendance. And she was on stage giving a lecture about life and about being of service. And I mean, I was so proud of her. And I was like, ooh, girl, like you've done it. You've done it. Let's see. This is Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. Red Robin. Is 3 another synchronicity? It seems like an important number in so many ideas and objects. Yeah, so 3 is another synchronicity. So 3 is a very common representation for the existence of creation. What I mean by that is, and I even put it out there a few weeks ago, I put a post, and it had the breakdown of how we break ourselves down from like source being down to like this form. And we break into 3 parts. We break ourselves up into 3 parts. So there's source, there's us, and then there's the bridge point between, which we can call that soul, we can call that ascended masters, we can call it our higher self, etc. But it's the bridge point between the 3. And so there's a lot of 3. There's a lot of replication and repeating numbers of 3 that represent the creation. So it is a synchronicity. In fact, it is a synchronicity. Yeah, practical magic priestess is like thoughts expanding into an expression we call creation. So this is so interesting because in the mornings before I start working, I put aside some time to channel. And so I have like a secret diary of what I've been channeling and what I've been having come through with me and Aja. And sometimes the conversation is really interesting because I'm like, I don't know, Aja, I don't agree with that. And but I still write it down, even if I don't agree with it. But that is one of the things that Aja has mentioned, that thoughts expanding into expression we call creation. Yeah, that creation is kind of like a method to experience to experience self. And so creation essentially is like a big tool that God uses to experience God, to experience itself. We being God, we are all God. We are experiencing ourselves through variations or through these various forms and methodologies. So creation is kind of like this big tool that God uses to experience self. And we are the experiencing part of God in this form. We are the part of God that is represented in our human reality, in our human expression. I love you too, JR's mama. Aw. Oh, Anna. Let's see. Going through, trying to find questions. 3, the triune, sacred geometry. Exactly. Yes. Okay, so that's all there. Let me go over here before I bounce off here. Oh, let's see. Just want you to know there's a fake page messaging people. Yeah, they're always up in there. There are always people, trolls trying to tell people to request them or whatever. Let's see. There might be a new, it looks like people were talking about a new page. There might be a new fake Ferny page, so I'm going to have to go looking for that one because someone might have put up a new one. It's like, I want to delete Facebook, but there's so many people who only use Facebook and they connect, and I have such a big collection of people there that I connect with, and I was like, I don't, but Facebook needs to get their act together. And by the way, guys, if y'all are receiving messages from someone who's pretending to be me, and make sure it's not me because I don't need to be reported. But if it's someone who's pretending to be me, and you can just tell by the title, go ahead, and if you're on Facebook, go ahead and report them as a fake account, and then block them, because that might get their attention, because I'm probably gonna have to get off of here and do that anyways myself. Everybody on this side is asking personal questions. I'm looking for a question about the study material, and there isn't any. Nope, that's it. Yep, that's it. So that's all that there is there. Yeah, that's all. That's all. All right, guys. I love you all. I will be back next Wednesday, of course, to usual time, usual place, and then we'll be doing our Course in Miracles study group at that time. Okay. So I love you all. I'm gonna bounce out here, and I'm gonna go bust someone's ass up. So I am gonna go and do that because I gotta go do that and watch my back. But I hope you'll have a good weekend. Stay safe, and I will